among others. And thank you for your interest. I think our forum is very much enriched with this session and will be enriched since we have these great speakers with different backgrounds. With different backgrounds. But before I introduce you to each of them, I want to make a very, very short, like 2 or 3 minutes introduction, including the technical thing and also the introduction to the topic in general. The technical thing is that since this is a workshop, not the traditional presentation or traditional forum where people are making presentations or giving lectures, we want to focus more on Q&A session. We shall have 2 parts in this session. We shall have the great speakers here, and we shall have after that short presentations, like 7 minutes, maximum 8 minutes presentations. And Akake will be the timekeeper, the very important mission. So please keep an eye on him. So he will give you a sign that 1 minute is remaining or 2 minutes is remaining. So for you to know that it's time to summarize.
So yellow card or a red card?
No.
You're off.
We don't show red and yellow cards to guests, here in Georgia. So we just very politely will show you that 1 or 2 minutes is remaining. After that, we shall have 2 country presentations from Azerbaijan and Indonesia, and we shall have separate Q&A session after that. That's all from the technical side. As for the content-wise, the reason we decided to include this title, the balanced approach to AI, protecting data and upholding human rights, is that it's several years already that AI is a topic, an integral part of every forum, every exchange where people are dealing with digital governance or digital transformation from different perspectives. No matter we're talking about about AI from the perspective of public administration or from economical growth perspective, no matter AI is an integral part of our daily lives and therefore the part of every discussion. We decided to enrich this forum by giving 4 totally different perspectives from AI. For example, Mr. Mario Hernandez Ramos, since he is the chair of the Council of Europe Steering Committee on New and Emerging Technologies, which is dealing on AI and not only AI and beyond new and emerging technologies, will give you an idea what is the approach of Council of Europe and how Framework Convention on AI, Human Rights, Democracy and the Rule of Law is dealing with AI-related risks, impacts, and things like that. We also have Ms. Mia Cha, who is scientific director from Max Planck Institute for Security and Privacy from Germany. She will definitely have totally different perspective. Mr. Avtandil Gasradze, since he is heading the GITA, Georgian Innovations Technologies Agency of Georgia, he will focus from the perspective how states can and are supporting AI innovations and managing these AI innovations. But their main idea is not to focus on the human rights, democracy, because other people have to deal with that. But their main focus is to support the development, right? And that Mr. Tom Carter, who is the Chief Operational Officer at VizHub AI from the United Kingdom, will enrich the discussion with his own experience, what his experience has shown so far related to AI, how he sees the future of development, and what's his position regarding what states should do and what private organizations should do in this process, how they should collaborate and so on and so forth. So let me conclude with this. we all know that UN is doing a lot, since this event is co-organized by Ministry of Justice and UN DESA. UN is doing a lot in the field of AI. We have a very good relationship with UN at the Council of Europe, since I'm also part of the CDNet. And Council of Europe is doing a lot, and many other organizations are doing. By the way, UN was the first offering and proposing the ethical framework, right, from UNESCO, ethical standards related to AI. So many organizations are doing great jobs, but now we want to focus on AI from very specific perspectives. But before we start, and before I give the word to Mr. Mario Hernandez Ramos, I want to ask our colleague to show the QR on the screen. Please scan the QR. There will be a question, 3 questions, introductory questions. We shall have additional 4th question, the feedback question, at the end of the session, and we can see the results of the questions of your answers during the session. Maybe after the presentations will be over, and before we move to counter cases. It will take like 1 minute. My apologies. It works. Not anymore. It works. Okay. I suppose you all have already scanned the QR. Just share with us your frank opinion on those questions. And now I shall move to Mr. Mario Hernandez Ramos. Please, we got the remote here. You can have your speech from here or here, whatever feels better for. Okay. You got the mic. Okay, thank you. We do. A bit louder? A bit louder? Me or the microphone? Microphone.
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay. Arpina, is it on? It is.
Yes, now it is. Thank you very much. I'm going to set my time. First of all, because... Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon. I hope you don't fall asleep in this session. This is the main challenge, or the first challenge after having a good lunch. Thank you very much to the Ministry of Justice for the invitation. Thank you very much, UN Public Service, for organizing this with Ministry of Justice, and thank you, Dimitri, for your friendship, and thank you very much for the hosting. It's my first time in Georgia, and I'm delighted, so it is very happy for me to be here. 7 minutes to present the Framework Convention that took 4 years to elaborate is quite a challenge. So I'm not going to focus on the content itself, because it's more important. If you have questions specific on the content, I can elaborate about it. But I would like to stress just the philosophy of the elaboration and the drafting and the negotiation of the Framework Convention. What are we going to do, or what are actually doing in the framework, in my committee, in our committee, to implement in the public sector the requirements of this Framework Convention. So this, as you may know, this is the first legally binding international instrument in the world about artificial intelligence, human rights, democracy, and rule of law. It was open for signature almost 2 years ago, and this Framework Convention, summarizing, it has 3 main aims. I think the first one is the most characteristic one, is to ensure that activities within the life cycle of artificial intelligence systems are fully consistent with human rights, democracy, and the rule of law, but at the same time being conducive to technological progress and innovation. That's the challenge, to square the cycle, right? Also, we have to bear in mind, as Dimitri just pointed out, the Framework Convention of the Council of Europe is not the only regulatory exercise in the world. There are many going on. So we need to try to pass a lot of them in order to pursue a comprehensive environment of regulating artificial intelligence, not artificial intelligence actually, the use of artificial intelligence and the consequences of the use of artificial intelligence in the private sector mainly, but also by the private sector. And also, this is important it aims to fill any legal gaps that may result from rapid technological advances. Because of course, when we were elaborating the Framework Convention, many technological developments happened. So we need to try to construct a framework that could fit in any kind of technological advance. So this is our Framework Convention. The main challenge, and it is very important to bring it here, the main challenge is who elaborate and draft the convention. And there are three main actors: the 46 member states of the Council of Europe, most of the countries of Europe, but also it is open for members outside from the Council of Europe. And in the negotiations, we had the active participation from United States of America, Canada, Japan, Israel, Holy See, Australia, Argentina, Uruguay, Peru, Costa Rica, and also European Union. So you can feel that the elaboration of this committee required a big effort of negotiation and trading off. So the outcome is very general principles that fits all of our legal traditions and interest. And this is a very important thing because within this Framework Convention, the national legislation can be elaborated to land to specific problems, to specific national problems. Then we have also the participation of civil society and industry representatives. In our committee now that we are trying to develop this Framework Convention, we have other countries like Ghana, Cabo Verde, Cameroon, Morocco, Tunisia, Kazakhstan, Brazil, and South Korea. So the scope is quite big, and we are creating a kind of place to interchange experiences and information, how to face and how to address the problems regarding the use of artificial intelligence in the public sector. These are the signatures so far, 21 signatures and 1 ratification. We need 4 ratifications to get the convention into force. So you see most of the Western societies are there. For me, the main message, and then we can talk about that, is that this Framework Convention tried to elaborate a comprehensive approach to AI governance. Framework Convention mainly deals with legal principles, which are, of course, legally binding, but we need to complement this hard law perspective with an ex-ante perspective. We need to know in advance what are the problems we are going to have if we implement some artificial intelligence systems. We need to foresee what are going to be the problems, because maybe we don't implement that or we need to amend it. So we create what we call risk and impact assessment methodology. We call HUDERIA, it's human rights, democracy, and rule of law impact assessment, in order to, as I told you, foresee the problems. This impact assessment tried to develop all the principles that you can see in the Framework Convention. We have many principles, of course. I'm not going to explain them, but we have human dignity, individual autonomy, equality, non-discrimination, protection of privacy, personal data protection, oversight, accountability, responsibility, safe innovation, reliability, of course, all these principles that you are very familiar with. But I would like to stress in the 2 last minutes I have, or 1.5 minutes I have, the perspective of this methodology. This methodology that we are using are composed by 4 steps. The first steps, and I think this is the most important one, the most interesting one, is related to the analysis of the context where the artificial intelligence system is going to be deployed and designed and applied. Because of course human rights and democracy and rule of law principles, but human rights, when we are talking about human rights, we are not talking about only technical requirements. We are talking about life, we are talking about scenarios, we are talking about principles that I would like to be enforced, and protected. And that is something to be in the design of this methodology. So when you try to design artificial intelligence systems for one purpose, the first thing you need to think about is, do I need an artificial intelligence system for this? Okay. Because maybe I'm going to break something in order to achieve something that you don't need to. Yeah. So this Huderia methodology, the first thing is try to make you to think, to adopt a critical thinking regarding and addressing the artificial intelligence use in the public sector. Because now there is a kind of mood that everybody, let's implement artificial intelligence because it's cool, it's nice, it's like, we're in the mood. Maybe you don't need that. Maybe you need to stop and to think, do we need it? What do we need it? How do we need it? And what are the requirements we need to fulfill in order to develop these artificial intelligence systems? This is the true aim of this Huderia methodology. The second part is, and then I'm stopping, the second part that is also interesting is the stakeholder engagement process. That means that when you are designing and implementing an artificial intelligence system in the public sector, you need to take into account the people who is going to deal with that artificial intelligence system, because you need to gather that information in order to design that strategy. Because of course, tech people are very clever, really clever, more clever than academics and lawyers and political science. But they just design, they code, they do things. They don't take into account the real world, the context. So we need to bring them to the equation in order to design artificial intelligence systems. And then goes, of course, the risk and impact assessment itself, and then a mitigation plan. So these are the steps of this Huderia methodology, and we are, in order to implement this Huderia methodology, we are designing some academies in order to talk to the states and to teach them and to educate them how to use this methodology. And that is my main message for now. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. Really, that was like mission impossible to, yeah, but you did that. But you did that. Thank you for that. Now we shall very quickly move to Miss Mia, who is going to make a presentation titled as Opportunities and Challenges in Adopting AI for Public Goods. Sounds very promising, right?
And challenging. So, good afternoon, and I'm really honored and excited to be here. I'm a computer scientist, a data scientist, and I want to advertise that if you have a problem, please come to me, and I will listen to your problem, connect you to the people who can also solve together with building AI and with data-driven method. So I am moving between Korea as a professor at KAIST and as a scientific director at Max Planck Institute in Germany. And my group is called Data Science for Humanity. But today, rather than introducing what my group has been doing, I want to give you some potential for data and also put you into the puzzle by introducing some challenges. So, we have been talking about AI and data a lot, but in my field, in computer science, we are already moving toward agentic system, where AI systems are making important, very critical decisions on behalf of humans. Humans have no time, or the scale is so large that there is no chance to intervene. So, for example, the questions about how to negotiate daily things, as well as suggestions for which college to apply, everything will be agentic in my work. And we are discussing this future, and we think this will be coming into play very, very quickly. But public service is not using AI. It's not just about increasing the speed, which is very important, because if you increase the speed at which the service is delivered, that means with the same amount of time and money, you can deliver the service to so many more people, which is great. But ultimately, that's not the only goal. We want to really increase well-being of humanity. So I want to give you some potential for exciting data that maybe many of you do not daily think about. So there's a lot of data that we can combine, the traditional survey data about statistics of household, income, education, health, everything. If you combine them together, then you get really amazing insight. But the problem is these data are very hard to collect for the least developed or the least flourishing regions of the world. So the data is lacking, and no matter what algorithms we have, we cannot apply it because the data is missing. More than 30 countries have not produced very basic statistics for the last decade. So there's one data that is emerging, which is satellite data that I want to emphasize. In every modern places like here, there would be a satellite passing on our sky every 15 to 30 minutes. And this satellite, depending on the budget, could take a picture, could understand what's happening, measure air quality, look at the contamination in the water, and also look at the trees, whether it's flourishing or it's dying. And the resolution is really amazing. Each pixel is about 15 centimeter to 30 centimeter, which is commercial, and 50 centimeter to 1 meter, also very public. What can you do? You can read the tail number in an aircraft. You could identify so many things. There's privacy issues, but also think about the potential. After every disaster, we can see if the walls or the buildings have been damaged. After anything that happens, we can track, is there a new slum housing in this area that we didn't see before? Are trash piling up in this corner of the city? So we can track so many things, and it's becoming freely available. We produce a lot of statistics. I hope more agencies, more institutions use it. Because this data is very fair. You don't need infrastructure to build. It's just a matter of, data is already there because the satellites are roaming around the Earth, right? It's very, very free, and it's very fair. It covers all around the world. So I hope you bring back that idea in your mind to look for the potential. Okay, I want to introduce you two examples from South Korea, where I come from, on using the agentic AI for public services. One is from the Ministry of Employment and Labor. Labor laws are so complex, and especially for small businesses. You may be, going against the regulation, not because you intend to, but because you don't know. Also, the employees who are not unionized, because when there is no union in the small businesses, they don't know where to ask for different things, like, am I eligible for overnight, working payment, extra payment, for example. So Korea has an agentic system where you can chat and you can freely ask in a very common language about different kinds of labor law, and businesses as well as the employees can benefit. If you also take a picture of the working environment, it would assess the risks, accidental risk, the occupational risk involved. Another great example is the empathetic AI care call. Korea is the highest, we're number one in terms of suicide rates, unfortunately. We have been number one. We surpassed Japan a long time ago, and we continue to stay. And over 70-year-old suicides are the highest suicide rates in Korea. And the city and the government employs large number of carers to call them, but it's obviously not scalable. So we started adopting AI care calls, and when these AI systems, they ask, have you taken the medicine? How are you this week? You said in the previous week, this symptoms, how are you? How is it developing for you? And when the system detects some risks, then the humans will intervene. And over 150 cities adopted the system, and the cities that adopted the system have reduced in suicide rate by about a half. But still, we are number one in terms of the suicide rate, so long way to go, but it is something that is being used because of the agent. Okay, now the risks. I want to show you two kinds of risk. One risk is that AI is not fair. So this is an interview scenario. One person, the same actor, with a fake bookshelf background, now suddenly receives higher scores. And the lady, the same lady, a little bit darker shade, artificially manipulated, receives lower scale. So algorithm is not fair. And another one example is it is also fragile. These are called one pixel attack. So this is a ship, this is a horse, and you just change one pixel, this small little pixel, and then suddenly the computer says it's a car instead of a ship. This is called the one pixel attack. And when AI systems are using public data, manipulation can happen because some parties may artificially inject manipulated data into the public system, and then the predictions or whatever the classification will be wrong. So for the public service to really benefit, it is so important that we work together, not just the forum here, but I haven't met any other computer scientist in this forum, so I would really like all disciplines to work together to make the system more safe, healthy, transparent, and inclusive. And my final message is that I've been thinking about the future of public service. And I think it's not that the public service that responds to us when there is a crisis, but it is something that is more proactive and keeping us more secure and have a brighter future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very impressive. And I think these two presentations have already partially answered the guiding questions that we have pre-shared with you and which are the part of the concept note of this. Now let's move to the third speaker, Mr. Avtandil Kasradze. Yes, Mr. Avtandil, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say hello to everyone, my fellow panelists, everyone, guests here. It's wonderful to see so many people are interested in this topic. And first of all, I would like to underline that we from the government of Georgia, we are happy that this UN conference happened here in Georgia, in Tbilisi. We are very happy to host in our beautiful capital city. And we are also very much happy to discuss about one of the most important topic around the world, about the AI. Because AI is not just part of the future discussion topic. This is already in our agenda in our economic development, our agenda in our innovation policy, our private sector development agenda, and of course our international positioning is very much dependent on our AI policy. So I will go through a few slides and we will talk about what I would like to say first of all, that we are governmental agency under Ministry of Economy and Sustainable Development, and our primary focus is to develop the startup and innovation ecosystem in the country. So we are more focused on private sector rather than the public sector. We have digital governance agency who are working on the more public sector, but we want to combine the private sector together with the government in order to create the better solution for the citizens. It's not easy task, but we think that this is the best way in order to get the final result for the citizens should be the best applications of the AI for human. So when we're talking about the principle, it has three main principles, right? Of course, the economic growth and modernization. This is one of the most important, like the agenda for ourselves. But responsible deployment is something that we need to think, because we should never forget about the human rights. One thing about that, we as a in the Ministry of Economy, we like actions. Yes. We want to take steps. There's some old Georgian wisdom. I think this wisdom is everywhere in the world, that think twice and then cut a ribbon. but we need to cut ribbon and see what is happening. We need to have the curiosity. We need to always experiment. We need to innovate. So that's why this is very important. That we need to make a lot of actions, especially when you're talking about the AI. Mario mentioned about the convention. We signed the convention. We are very happy to be part of this convention. So we have the strategic vision. And this vision is for Georgia, First, it starts with the AI governance, to have the definitely responsible AI for everyone, human rights protected, data privacy protected, and then how we can integrate and bring this AI ecosystem to all citizens. We have 5 main pillars. This is upskilling and reskilling for all population. Also integrate in general and higher education, primarily bachelor and master programs. And we are working in Ministry of Education together in this agenda. And we have 2 main sectoral approach, which is the healthcare and agri-tech, which is one of the biggest part of our economy. And we have and it can impact our country's economic development faster than to target the other sectors. And Georgia is a small country. We cannot target all the sectors. Maybe some big countries like US and China, they can work in a lot of technology direction, but we need to focus, like UK, even UK have the 9 priority technology areas with the catapult systems they created. So we need to focus. In 2014, Prime Minister announced the 3 technology priority areas. One of them is AI, definitely. Another is the bacterial phages, which is the biotech technology for substitute to antibiotics. And third is agri-tech. So we are mainly focusing on that. And AI is a center for everything. And also another is AI Center of Excellence, which combines the actual applications that everything which we mentioned earlier. So we have a lot of strengths. So I represented the government of Georgia. I will not speak weaknesses. I will speak about what kind of strengths that we have. But one of them is that first, from the political level, from the government side, we have this strong commitment to support the digital transformation and innovation in the country, and like everything that goes beyond that, it demonstrates that everything came from the top, from the government. We are I will explain a few things. So we are very agile public administration, and we are always innovating in reforming public administration. Yesterday, the head of the government administration, Levan Georgioliani, mentioned the huge reforms that is happening to help government to be more agile, more private sector oriented, and more innovative. And we have one of the best tax regimes for any innovative companies can imagine any part of the world. Primarily, we have literally 0% taxes for any innovative startups here. First 3 years of operation, they pay 0 taxes for the salaries that they for their employees. And it does not matter in the first 3 years how fast they grow, becoming billion-dollar companies, employing 10,000 of people. It does not matter. They pay 0 taxes in first 3 years of their operation. And then we have up to 10 years gradually giving small taxes, but still up to 10 years they can expect the tax exemptions. We have also status for innovative SMEs, because we want to innovation to be integral part of the all sectors, not only as a separate factor, and they have big tax reduction and etc. So there are a lot of things that the government's commitment shows that there is a very good instruments for private sectors to innovate and create AI solutions for better economic development. When we are talking about the strategy, we are working on the strategy to create the AI strategy. We don't have yet the strategy, unfortunately, but we created the interagency working group, because it's not only it cannot be decided under one ministry. It needs involvement from all the ministries, and not only the ministries, also from private sector, from academia. So we will be working on that regard to create like the strategy. We have the timeline, of course, the 4-year plan, but we will not talk about, because I have maybe 30 seconds left. With international cooperation, definitely we are collaborating first with our neighbors, Central Asian countries, but also in global scheme as well, a European Union in Horizon program. I would like to mention this one last slide. So the building that you see is amazing landmark building. That was a parliament of Georgia in Kutaisi. So the building, which was a landmark of our political history, is becoming landmark of our technological future, because government gave this building to us. It's huge, amazing building, and we are creating a lot of different technology directions there. But one of the most important is AI Excellence Center will be there, together with the top universities that we have, Kutaisi International University, and it will have 3 directions: R&D, creating AI project mainly together with the government sector, and it will have the infrastructure for innovative companies, for Georgian startups to have easily access to the computing power, because we will have the latest NVIDIA chips there, and small data centers for startups and SMEs. So basically, my time is up, so thank you very much, and I will be happy to answer questions later on. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sure this information was very interesting for the big part of the audience, how Georgia is creating the environment for the innovations and how it supports these innovations, created both locally and also beyond the borders. Now, we are moving to the next speaker, Mr. Tom Carter, with the presentation From Intelligence to Implementation, Strengthening User Rights and Accountability in AI-Enabled Public Services. Mr. Tom?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to you and Dessa, and obviously to the Government of Georgia and the Ministry of Justice in particular for inviting me to speak. This isn't my first time here. Probably about time 45 or 46. So I've got a long history with Georgia, which is probably why I had the wine as opposed to bourgeois on the table. I am a former civil servant. I'm quite proud to say that, although most of my professional career has been engaging with law enforcement. AI is not new to me. AI is not new to law enforcement. When we talk about AI, we're talking about generative AI. That's the new buzzword. I've been using AI in various forms. I hate to say it, for more than 30 years. I know I only look 29, but... and the lesson I want to get across is, first of all, don't be scared of it. Experiment with it safely. And the second thing is, talk to your law enforcement and security services, because as you'll see, they've been through the pain of how you govern, how you manage these tools over the last 3 decades. My background, like I said, is civil service. I've been involved in major IT programs. I'm not a techie. I can't code. I'm sorry. I'm not a data scientist. But things like biometric controls in the UK border, I was involved in that project, again, more than 20 years ago. Yeah, I can get it to work. Okay. A reminder. There's a clue in the title. It's public service. We are here to serve the public. Okay? That's the key message that I think we shouldn't ever forget. This is here to support your citizens. Okay? Oh, wrong way. That's the other message. Technology isn't the risk, it's human beings and the things that we do wrong with it, which really worries me. Again, we've been using AI, predictive text on your telephones, Google Maps, yeah, Amazon, Netflix. You touch AI all the time. You just don't necessarily put it into the right context. Although I'm from the UK, I've spent a lot of time working with the European Commission, managing projects, which is why I first came to Georgia. And the EU has legislation, the EU Artificial Intelligence Act. Not perfect, but I think one of the key things which is really useful is it has a simple way of classifying risk in a nice little triangle. And that's how they approach it, because again, this is centered on the impact on human rights. And again, this links to what the Council of Europe has been doing. And we shouldn't forget that. It has immense possibilities, but it also brings certain risks, and you need to be aware of those. Like I said, law enforcement has been down this route before. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. They've had all of these issues: data minimization, how you limit the purpose of AI, proportionality, and audit trails. And the audit bit is really important because it's about your citizens, the public, trusting what you're doing with AI. And law enforcement has had to go through that painful process in basically the whole time. And although law enforcement is a public service, people seem to separate it. It's the same rules apply. And probably the most important for me is transparency. Because again, being transparent will enable trust. And Georgia's got a great example. About 20 years ago, you went through a reform process with the police. You passed it on the way from the airport, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, a glass building. And it's about hearts and minds. It's about bringing the public with you, about building their trust in the institutions. And it's no different whether you're in the Ministry of Agriculture or Ministry of Public Services. It doesn't matter. You need the public to trust what you're doing. Again, hopefully you get the slide. I'm going to skip through this because I'm very conscious of the time. It is about being human-centered. It's about keeping humans in the loop. And I know there are some challenges with agentic AI, where I do personally have some concerns about giving away control unless there are guardrails and controls in place. Again, I'll come back to it. History, and this is where I am a geek, I study disasters. It's a strange thing to say, but I go back when there's a disaster, I go and read the report bit, 9/11, Fukushima, things that have happened in the UK. And it's not the technology that fails, it's not even the process, it's human beings and individuals, okay? And it's about having training, it's about having structures in place. The key thing, if you want to take away any message, it's about AI literacy. And it's about training both your staff, but also the public, so that they become confident, that they're not scared of AI. And I know it was mentioned about this idea to push out literacy for the public. Other countries in Europe, like Estonia, are doing the same thing, and it's important. If you go back again 25, 30 years, when I was at the Home Office and we introduced emails, you had to train the staff. AI is no different. There is a differentiate. Not everyone needs the same training. There are methodologies to overcome that. And again, it's based on the level of risk of the end user. There is a brilliant paper by the Joint Research Council of the European Commission about how to adopt and implement AI in public institutions. I would recommend, if you haven't seen it, I'll share the link. It's definitely worth reading. But it's basic. It's really simple stuff. Evaluate where you are now. Look at the competencies. Where are the skill sets? Where are you lacking the skills to implement it? The dimensions of the challenges, governance and capacity we've spoken about. The culture is the most important one. Again, hearts and minds. People being confident enough to use it, both from the public administration side, but also from the public. Again, the JRC report talks about anchoring it, and we go back to rooting it in values, which is human rights, personal protection, the rights of the individual, then building from there. It can create huge value, particularly around things like document processing. If you think about it, it doesn't take holidays, it doesn't sleep, it doesn't get sick. And I would recommend, if you want to know where to implement AI, do two things. Speak to your staff, because they'll tell you the things that they hate doing, but also speak to the end user, speak to the public, ask their advice, because they will tell you. I hate speaking to our tax authorities because I get an automated bot on the phone and it drives me mad, okay? Why they've done it, I don't know. Speak to the public. Ask their advice. Where would they like to see the services improved? And then think about how you can utilize AI to support that. Those are the key messages. Again, literacy. Train your public, train your staff. But have it rooted in governance structures where there is clear accountability. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We can now put on the slide with the names and pictures as a background while we shall be having this Q&A session. It's like up to a decade that I'm more or less interested in this topic and reading different things. And during this session, I personally learned a lot. There were many things that were emphasized that was not before now the very specific object of my interest, but now they are. So, but this session is not about just getting the information. This session is also an opportunity to ask these people face to face the questions that not many of us have this opportunity on regular days, right? So we may start the Q&A. Please name yourself, ask the question, and if you ask the question to a specific speaker, just also mention that. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Sandro. Mr. Thomas, I have a question regarding the last slide. You mentioned that we should educate the people and citizens and we should ask where to implement AI. Can you imagine how the process is best practice and how can process be leaded? How can we do it?
I think it's on.
We talk about technology, but we can't switch
No,
on.
okay. Now
Yeah, AI didn't work on the thing. It's about having a structured plan for training. I mean, I've implemented projects, both in the UK but across the world in different countries, and it's project management at the end of the day, and it's training, and it's about having structured training that is easily accessible, that is relevant. The legislation, I mean, the EU AI Act is a good example. It's incredibly complex, but when you break it down, and I was talking to Guram about this yesterday, I'm not a genius, I'm not a techie, I like to simplify things. And in reality, you can break any topic down to the lowest common denominator, and that's normally all you need. So if you're, again, without picking on people, if you're a receptionist at this hotel, you don't need to have the same understanding of AI as the IT people, or the person who's the manager has a different perspective. And it's a matter of just adapting. The things that are consistent throughout, or should be consistent throughout, are ethics and accountability and governance structures. And it's about, again, I go back to basics, it's about instilling confidence in people so that they're not scared, and that they also have, and it came up in a different thing, they have the courage to challenge. That's really important to say, I don't think this is working right, yeah? Because AI is, again, it's brilliant. I love it to death. I have to say, I did use AI on the presentation. The words are mine, but the pictures weren't. So I have to declare that. Article 50 of the Act about transparency. It's not overly complicated. I mean, I'm quite happy to talk to people later. That's what I do. I now deliver training at scale, both in the private and the public sector, to thousands of people at a time. And there is a process behind it. It's not particularly complicated. And it's not that difficult, but you have to start somewhere. And the first thing is go away and assess what the needs are of the end user, because it always boils down to who is your customer, what do they need, what do they need to know. Yeah, hopefully that's answered the question.
Okay, my name is Adeboye Gaujo. I'm professor at Canada Researcher in AI and Governance. So, like me, I'm a computer scientist by training.
Since our workshop is being recorded.
Oh, yeah, recorded. Okay. So I will just repeat. My name is Adeboye Gaujo. I'm professor on Canada Researcher in AI and Governance. I'm a computer scientist by training, but I sit in the School of Public Policy and Administration in Carleton University. So one of the things I do is I advise the Canadian government, in the use of AI, right? Particularly in the public sector. Now, my question is for Mario and also for Mia. So one of the things we've seen lately is the tension between innovation, which you spoke about, and the just very complex regulatory landscape. And interestingly, we're seeing, in Canada, for example, we had to ditch our Bill C-27, the AI and Data Act, and it's almost like a Wild West now, all right? So, following our colleagues our neighbors to the south, we also have the omnibus law, omnibus framework coming up. I think already established now within the EU in trying to simplify things, but yet it's still very complicated. I was just looking at the list of regulations, within the EU space. There are tons of that. The question is, how do you actually guide? And there's no clear governance architecture. All right. So I work deeply in this space. This is what I do. Daily. It's hard for us to advise people in terms of companies, organizations, public sector, in terms of how do they navigate this space. All right. So I'm wondering how are you thinking about that within the EU, and in terms of helping organizations, particularly small businesses, all right, which goes to the heart of your own innovation agenda in Georgia. All right. So I think this is actually the issue. It's good to have regulations, but again, like we're seeing, we've been playing this game for maybe a few years now. We now know that that's not the real answer. In fact, it's causing disincentives for some responsible government to actually, look for alternative frameworks. Okay.
Should we go? Yeah, thank you very much. That's one of the questions regarding technology. Yeah, for lawyers is their question, and for enterprise is their question. First of all, let's move false dilemma, which is regulation versus innovation. There is not such a dilemma. Innovation should be done within a framework where the human being is in the center and the innovation is inspired but for the sake of human beings and democracy and rule of law and our values, that those values are before the technology. So first of all, we need to be very clear that, because otherwise we just blurred frontiers with other problems like we think technology can help, but the problems are humans, not technology. So most of the problems are human created and could be solved with human principles. Technology could help, but it's not the answer, just the answer. Once we have said that, it is totally true. European Union is characterized sometimes by this ginormous bureaucracy, but you need to bear in mind that this is because European Union is made by a lot of bureaucracy states. So it's in line with this effort. You cannot set this bureaucracy in other countries where there's not such a matureness of an administration level. And I like to make a difference here between the cold Brussels effect, that everybody wants to follow the Brussels model, which is massive in terms of regulatory. And I like to talk about the Strasbourg effect, which is these framework conventions or conventions based on principles, basic principles, but very essential principles. And then in terms of landing those principles in national lands, you can have, depending on your level of bureaucracy, your budget, your education, you can elaborate from the very beginning and then you go up. I'm not answering the question. I'm just setting the context, yeah? But setting the context. Because there's not an endless, and a satisfying answer in these terms. Because then you need to take into account what are we talking about. Artificial intelligence is everywhere. So of course you are going to have regulation on digital market, on human rights, on democracy, on everything. So people is complaining, this is impossible to run. Well, it is impossible if you see that the regulation is everywhere. Of course, it has to be. So it is a problem if we see the artificial intelligence like the leading force in these problems, but there are other leading forces and other instruments. And this is our task now, to establish easy governance in order to integrate, because when we are talking about artificial intelligence, then you need to put data protection, of course, governance, and then we have to put another specific governance. So we are starting. And I would like to say always, I like to say, be patient. We are just starting. And in the very beginning, everything looks overwhelming, and it is overwhelming. But we are starting. But it's better to have this sense of problematic in the way of designing a governance than saying like, what, this is impossible, Wild West. Because when you have this Wild West perspective, then you need to know that problems will come, for sure. There will come mythos, there will come other problems. And then now the White House has designed a strategy and asked to the Congress to design a federal law. What a surprising thing, right? That in Europe we have been discussing for 5 years these problems because we know that the basic values and principles are before technology. And when we are designing and developing technology, need to be in line with these problems. Again, I'm not answering your question, but the perspective of the use of technology for the sake of human service, human beings, this is the true thing. And if it takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes bureaucracy, it's true. It's a problem that maybe Apple is not giving us the very latest frontier consumer things. But maybe we don't need it.
No, I guess where I was going is actually, and that's why I wanted Mayor to also talk.
Now the other side
Is a simplification. Yes, so it's complex, but we also have to help to simplify, to make the landscape clear. And I think some of the things you showed in Korea, all right, can also be used. And I think this is the thinking I'm trying to stimulate from you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sorry, the thing is not whether regulate or not regulate, is how to regulate, and what to regulate, and who regulates, and through which instrument regulate. That's the thing. That's the proper questions. And sometimes it's like, yes, no, we are very dichotomy. This is quite complex. We need to be like more sophisticated.
Okay, so thank you so much for the question. I do not also think that any of us have the right answer for that question. I think it's a very opening up question that we should continue to think about. But I do remember from the previous session, I think Elsa mentioned the chief data officer, like the role and how that could just bring so much innovation, and with mind of the security, privacy context and everything. And just the statistic is really clear. The chief data officer, how many countries have chief data officer like positions at the moment? I think Korea started just 1 or 2 years ago. We have our first chief data officer from the engineering background, and that has changed substantially. Now, when there is like the employment labor example I gave, the minister on live showed vibe coding to show, if I can do this, I'm a minister, and you can do this kind of message. And it took just a few minutes, and he created a system. And just seeing this innovation, of course, there's security breach, and it's not complete, but I think we're still at the very, very early stage of AI, and we should first look at the potential for that. And maybe when there are, I mean, we build and we fix, but then if we start from the very strong guideline and start to build something that's so secure, we will never be able to build anything. So I think that the right balance is difficult, but yeah, I would say keep it positive.
Thank you. We'll be taking a question from the back, but we'll have to be a bit quicker though, so we don't have much time.
So I'm Kiki from Brazil. I want to just remind, I don't know if everybody is aware, that UNESCO and Oxford University had released last year a course for AI and digital transformation for public servants, and it's available free of charge for anyone that is a civil servant anywhere, and it's already translated to many languages. And I remembered because now it's translated to Brazilian Portuguese, and now our civil servants will become more like the AI literacy, better literate, because otherwise they would catch only the learning programs that the platforms offer, and of course they're doing this to sell more of the platform. But my question is not about that. I don't know if you are aware of an experiment that put the major AI platforms to rule a city separately, so Grok, GPT-5, Claude, and another one that I don't remember. So they put 10 agents of this AI to rule a city and see what happened. And then the Grok platform the city was dismantled in 5 days. The GPT-5 lasted for 7 days. Gemini lasted for 15 days. And Claude survived. But when they put agents from these different providers in the same platform to work together, it was a complete mess, and it didn't work. And that tells us that the more agentic AI goes on, we're going to have lots of these cases happening in the real world, that the agents are going to talk to each other, but they are not. They don't have the similar logic of development. So I would like to know if in the examples that you gave or what you have been hearing, if this is already a problem and how it's being solved.
Yeah, maybe I start and then I give the mic to other speakers. So yes, it is tremendously because agents do not give like a search engine like response where you get to see 10 options, second page, third page, and then you get to choose what you want to see. Instead, agent just gives you one response. And it gives you the response with a very plausible, very elegant language. So, and that's the bias that we get to see. But nonetheless, if you look at the statistics, of who is benefiting from these programs, the foreign employees who would not be able to ask the questions are now feel more comfortable at having these questions asked. And the questions so far asked are most of the times is like the basic questions and so on. So I think it certainly opens up a lot of good things, but at the same time, we really need to think about, is it reinforcing certain kinds of social bias? Are you just recommending the same specific kind of services to particular demographics so that there's no longer mobility in the social system? That's such a critical issue.
First of all, yesterday I watched England against Ghana. And I have suspicions that both coaches used same AI agents because it was no creativity and it ended 0-0. But this is as a joke. But your examples that you mentioned, first of all, AI is not finished, yes? I mean, AI is still evolving, it's learning. So the results that you mentioned, it does not mean anything. It means that you need to develop AI furthermore in order to get better results. So AI is just instrument that in order to help humans to do our jobs in a better way. So basically, if for example, ChatGPT like destroyed city in 5 days or whatever, it means that it needs much more data. It needs much more learning in order to get a result as we need. And I think this is a time issue, you know, because eventually we are here with AI. We cannot be without AI. It's impossible. We should forget about it. What we can do in order to create also with the conventions or regulation, etc., AI that helps humans. So that will be the main aspect from the jobs that all the government should do, and also private sector, hopefully, because now actually we can talk a lot in the government. But now there's a big corporations who is running AI all around the world. So this is something that we need to take into consideration, that we need to involve all these huge corporations who have huge resources to develop AI further.
Okay, where to start? I'm slightly biased. I don't think that the EU AI Act is particularly complicated. It's long, it's typical legal language, but at its heart, it's really quite simple. And I'll go back to it. It's based on risk, and it's based on the risk to individuals. So if you're happy with governments manipulating your data, fine. I'm not. And again, this is where I relate it to my background working with law enforcement. We regulate and we monitor law enforcement for good reasons, because they have a disproportionate potential to impact upon us as individuals. AI is no different. It has, I'll go back to it, it's absolutely amazing, but it is a tool in the same way that a computer is, yeah? It is a tool, and you should treat it as such. I've played around, like I said, I'm not a techie, I've played around building agents myself. I wouldn't let it loose in my business. I certainly wouldn't want it to control decisions about me as an individual at a government level. Yeah, but again, treat it as what it is. Yeah, it's there to. It's got some great benefits, but again, I'll go back to it. It's got some great risks. We've seen that with Mythos. Yeah, in the last couple of weeks, amazing technology, but also very scary. From a personal, individual basis, but also for governments. Because if it can break into all of your systems, that's not a good thing. Yeah. Again, we go back, keep it centered, as you were saying, keep it centered on the individual, think about it from your own personal perspective. Yeah. Would you really want AI making decisions about things? In terms of bias, I've got a big issue. I had a conversation with who's from Thailand, who's in another session at the moment, around the problem that we have with AI is how does it get trained? I mean, when you look at some of the things, there was a thing about Reddit being 40% of the material. Would you trust Reddit to make decisions about things? I wouldn't. Yeah. There is bias built in. Let's remember a lot of the stuff has been developed in the States. It's got a disproportionate bias. If you're from Africa or Southeast Asia, the results are biased against you. Stanford University released a paper about 2 weeks ago about 2 tools that are used globally for hiring people, and it's sold on the basis that it doesn't discriminate. Well, actually it does. When you look at it across the whole platform, it's fine. But when you break it down into individual roles, it's shown to be highly discriminatory against people from African origins and Southeast Asian origins. I'm sure there'll be a class lawsuit in the States about it, but it impacts. I mean, even to the fact that they were incredible things. You would let's say you applied for a job at Unilever, who's one of the companies that uses the tool, and you didn't get the job. That score that the system gave you, because it's the way it's set up, if you then applied for British American Tobacco or McDonald's, again, other users of the same tool, that score is used by them, and it's kept up to 330 days. So the reason you're not getting jobs isn't necessarily because you're a bad person or your CV's bad, but the system has marked you with a black mark saying this person's not employable. So that's where the risk is. Yeah, you can work around it by doing regular checks about bias, regular reviews about the way that the machines work, but that requires a process. It requires oversight and governance. And although it is, again, very bureaucratic, the EU AI Act is attempting to try and address those problems. Like I said, it's not perfect, but you have to start somewhere. Yeah, and they've recognized it, they're making the changes. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We're nearly out of time, but I shall take 2 more minutes, if I may. As a moderator, I have a privilege to do that, right? So it's up to me. Because Arpine is also on my side. Yeah, Arpine is also on my side. So since we are having a few, I see Mr. Georgi, the head of analytical department of Ministry of Justice, Mario, the professors of constitutional law. So they will agree with me if I say that this process also nudged us very actively to really rethink the real essence of discrimination, the real essence of number of human rights, real essence of these fundamental things. Because from the perspective of AI, these things need to be rethought before regulated. Before we say that there's a risk towards this value, we need to re-agree on the values. But so I shall take 2 minutes. So minute number 1, I shall ask all of you, if you are representing the country who has not yet signed the Framework Convention on Artificial Intelligence and Human Rights and Democracy and the Rule of Law, please just show me your hand. If you are representing a country that is not yet part of the Council of Europe initiative. So not yet. Argentina is the country number 1. Is there anyone coming from the country, representing country, who hasn't signed yet? Also, Azerbaijan also hasn't signed. Just show me your hands. I wonder how many people in the room. So the next 1 minute, 1 minute only, is for you, Mr. Mario. What can Council of Europe do for the countries who haven't yet become part of the process? I know that Azerbaijan is a part of the process. Our dear colleagues are sitting right beside me there. But what is the offer from Council of Europe to the countries that are not yet part of the process, and what is the, please say a couple of words.
Thank you, Dimitri. Council of Europe, as you know, is an international organization focused on human rights, democracy, and rule of law. That is the main core. Artificial intelligence is one dimension of society now and technology. In terms of what can we do, we can offer all the assistance in order to literacy of public service, for instance, in order to raise awareness of the problems that the use of artificial intelligence can have. Also, the possibility is true, but we can offer this kind of space, interviews, any kind of help in order to talk to or to exchange experiences with responsibles of the people who has to think on maybe it's important to have a framework in order to deal with the problems that artificial intelligence is going to rise in our societies. And of course, we are very happy to put in contact with other similar atmospheres or the nations in Latin America, in Europe, or in other places. And I think we can foster this dialogue altogether in order to agree on the very basic things we need to pursue regarding artificial intelligence and our common values. So we are very open to help you and to be close to you in this process.
Thank you so much. Now we're very short in time. We have 2 country presentations. I really thank you very much because the discussion happened. And that was our goal. So not only the presentation, but also we had a few questions from the audience. My apologies to the ones who wished to ask the question but didn't have an opportunity. We shall have next Q&A after the country presentations. Maybe you will be asked to answer that from the audience. So thank you very much on that. Now Now we're moving to the next part. I want to ask representative of Azerbaijan, our neighbor country, neighbor and very, yeah. We people from Georgia and people from Azerbaijan have many friends from another country, and we're partnering in many domains.
Yeah, sure.
And I want to ask Mr. Semral Aliyev to make a short presentation since we are very short in time. He's the director of the state agency for public services and social innovations under the President of Republic of Azerbaijan. And representative of Indonesia, Devi Kamil Siahbana will, Mr. Devi, please take a seat. Will make a presentation titled as Real-Time Geological Hazard Information aimed at strengthening early warning systems. One of the most interesting topics for me, because Georgia is also working on that domain. Thank you for being here. Please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll try to be fast. And now we have very limited time. And I'll give brief information about what we are doing, what's our AI approach, what we have in the field of AI, how we are applying AI in public services. I'm Semra Aliyev, and my main work is optimize the process and making our citizens happier. And would like to mention that I'm the representative of the state agency, which is managing the Asan Service Centers. It's our world-known brand, and we got 2 times United Nations Public Service Award for our quality of services. And right now we are exporting our good governance model to more than 30 countries. And in 6 countries, we already launched our one-stop shop service centers, and we are providing our citizens and also citizens of these countries with different public and private services. And it's a digital model, physical and digital services at the same place. And also we are applying innovation to their public services. And but I'll talk about AI application. In a couple of years, we are applying AI, especially in public administration, public services, because we want to make our citizens happier. We want to we want to have the faster services, and also we know that the AI is a main accelerates digital transformation, and we want to get the benefits of AI. And but we need to have a balance of AI application and human rights and data protection, because AI supports innovation. AI helps to have a new kind of startups, and especially in GovTech solutions, we are creating good conditions to startups to have AI-based solutions, and then they can offer this kind of solutions to the government, to different ministries, and it's a good model of the public-private partnership to have new AI solutions, AI-based solutions. But we have good data, government data. It's mostly open to the public, and our citizens, our researchers, also academics, prepare some good solutions. We used AI, but of course the privacy is very important, and personal data security, we know that it's very sensitive element of the AI. And human rights, I had this kind of question at the questionnaire, and I am waiting the answers that if our human rights approach is the same like your approach. And Mario asked and gives a good note that sometimes governments or different agencies wants to apply AI because they think that AI is cool and let's apply. Yes, the same thing, the same problem we all have. But why AI? We need AI. We use AI in decision making, and it supports us. It supports our agencies. It supports our operators while delivering the public services to the citizens. And also, while getting feedback from the citizens, also from the tourists, we applied AI at the visa system, Aslan visa system. It's an electronic visa to Azerbaijan. Every day, thousands of tourists come to Azerbaijan, and when they give feedback to what is good in Azerbaijan, what's bad in Azerbaijan, in tourism sector, in transport sector, in health, any kind of in our cuisine, we cannot, as a human, analyze all these feedbacks because we are getting thousands of feedbacks daily, and that's why we are using AI tools for such kind of issues. Also, we are using in AI in situation centers to monitor all the service delivery process, and I'll talk about later. Our vision is applying AI to public administration and to have a seamless, transparent, and personalized public services. And it's an AI readiness index. The previous year, Azerbaijan ranks was 69th globally, and we are applying AI in a couple of years, and I think this year our results will be better. And we adopted 3 strategies. It's not only our AI solutions and our AI approach is not a chaotic approach. We already adopted AI strategy of Azerbaijan, digital economy development strategy, and digital development concept of the Republic of Azerbaijan. And our priority for AI strategy is to have a data-driven decision-making, digital infrastructure development, and AI talent skills development. Our main goal is to have build a AI competitive digital economy, and our focus areas, we have 5 focus areas. First, human capital. What we are doing in the human capitals, we have training programs. We had a contract with Coursera, and we opened all Coursera course, especially in the AI course, free for all our citizens. Every year, more than 20,000 citizens can get AI courses from the Coursera platform. And also, we have a AI Academy. This is the targets for 2026. Every year, we already established AI Academy. This is for train our citizens and our civil servants. And we already trained 500 AI engineers this year and 500 public officials. We adopted we had a presidential decree that at all ministries, at all institutions and public institutions and agents, deputy chairman or deputy ministers, one of the deputy ministers or deputy chairman must be AI responsible person. And right now at all ministries we have AI related persons. And let me give some information about our AI solutions. We are the AI-powered call center. It's not like a bot, and our citizens don't think that it's a bot. It's a real human voice, and we have a data of 12 years audio data, call center data, and right now AI-powered call center can serve to our citizens. We have a defect detection automation system, Aslan visa sentiment analysis. As I mentioned, we can see what is good in Azerbaijan, what is bad in Azerbaijan, and we use this data, smart data. Our AI sends us smart proposals, and we are sending it to relevant ministries and agents. And this is the last slide. This is our AI-based TV presenter. We have Aslan TV to inform our citizens about the services, and this every day our Aslan presenter presents AI-generated news in radio, in the TV, and it creates its content itself, and also give information about the public services, about news of our service delivery process. And 1 minute, we are involving all players to our platform. Last year we created Open Innovation Platform. If any public and private organization have challenge and want to solve by using AI, they can place their challenge at our platform. It's an open innovation platform, and startups or IT companies or universities can send solutions to the challenge, and then it's a award-based platform, and then our experts choose one of the best solution for the challenge, and then we reward. I think this model we can witness in different countries, and Azerbaijan is one of the countries in the region that promote open innovation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. That was frankly very informative, and I'm sure many listeners will take from this session a lot of information what Azerbaijan is doing in that domain and how successful you are. And wish you all the best. Please take your seat because we shall have Q&A after Mr. Devi. Please.
So good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Devi. I'm from Indonesia. I work at the Center for Volcanology and Geological Hazard Mitigation of the Geological Agency from the Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources in Indonesia. So today I would like to talk about Magma Indonesia. This is our application, and we have a stand in the exhibition hall, so you can visit and discuss if you are interested to. We have some souvenirs as well, so from Indonesia. So we hope that you can visit our stand. So this application was built in 2015. So it's been 11 years still now. Sorry. So the idea behind this application is that Indonesia is really prone to geological hazards. We can say it's based on our history. So it's a fact that we have the two largest eruptions in human history that happened in Indonesia. In 1257, Rinjani erupted violently and take effects on the climate change around the world. And also in 1815, it's more popular because when Tambora erupted, it's not affected not only Indonesia but also the whole world. Famine around the world, especially in North America and also in Europe. In 1816, there was a year without summer. If you have listened to this history, so the effects of geological hazards not limited only to Indonesia, but also to other countries. And we have really diverse stakeholders that we have to serve. It's not only the general public, there are also the governments, there are academics and medias that we have to treat them differently. The needs of the information for them is different. So we need to how we turn the scientific information that we have can be understood by different groups of people. And so the theme today is how we turn the data into action, because the most important thing in disaster risk management is the action of the people. If we have the early warnings, but the people could not act accordingly, it means nothing. So this is Magma Indonesia. So it serves in web and mobile applications. So you can visit, you can search in Google web Magma Indonesia. And if you search any activities of volcanoes, earthquakes in Indonesia, it will use Magma Indonesia as the source. So this information is official. So it is updated not by admin. So we have staffs that works 24/7 around Indonesia, because Indonesia is an archipelago country. We have 17,000 islands and serves 280 million people. So and that's why we have to have people who works for the data updating around Indonesia. So they are who give the updates on the data. And every day if you see live, the data changes. If there are eruptions, you can see the blinking of the volcano erupted, and if there are earthquakes, you can see the blinking of the earthquake symbols and everything there. And and we will 1 minute. Okay, that's fast. And we will also have the mobile app that serves also iOS, because before it's only in Android. And I will say that maybe this one will be published very soon. So we will have volcanic activity, earthquake, and tsunami, landslide, and also notifications for the ash advisory. And this is the architecture. It's very complex. So I just want to show that Magma now, it's been 2 years that we incorporated AI inside it. But we do not use AI to decide. We just use AI in several layers. So we have several layers at Magma. So there are data layers, analysis layer, workflow layer, decision layer, and public layer. And where the AI is used is we use that in data layer and analysis layer, but decision layer is fully human. And it's off. No, I clicked the green one. Okay, so this is on the left is already working. So in Indonesia, when you search for any locations, you type any location or coordinates, you search for example, my home, the app will tell you what kind of hazards that you are potentially affected to. And you can put any names that exist in Google or any coordinates if it's not on Google. Because sometimes you have like remote places that is not defined yet on Google's. And we also developed the chatbot. So this chatbot is based on the knowledge that is only from our own official data. We don't use any other data outside for the government data. So, and yeah, you can visit our site to discuss more if you are interested to. So the idea is that we have one platform that is trusted because it's government, and also it's make a safer decision because inside the application, it's not only about data, but what people have to do with the data. So if you open that, for example, in our volcanoes, if you're a tourist, you want to climb to a volcano, and then is it safe for me to go there? You just click on that volcano. It will give you the detailed recommendations of the places you must not visit. But if you just realize that I'm on the volcanoes, but I don't know if I'm dangerous or not, you can locate yourself also. And if you are inside, you have to go up. So as simple as that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Devi. This was perhaps the most direct example of how AI and data can save lives without much abstraction. Everything is very clear. Thank you very much. And now we'll be taking questions. We have about 5 minutes left, and please.
Hello, thank you very much for your presentations and to the previous presenters as well. I want to clarify, not very open questions. The first question I address is to the representative of our neighbor, Azerbaijan. I was wondering, you mentioned AI responsible persons at the government level. If there is any coordination body, maybe you mentioned, but I missed, but if there is any coordination body. And the second part is, you mentioned about the help courses and the engagement of Azerbaijani citizens in the training programs. I'm wondering if these courses are compulsory or not, how you promote engagement of your citizens in the training programs. So this is the question related to you. And I have the second question to the second presenter. I'm not sure if I'm framing my question correctly, but I hope you will understand I'm the lawyer and I have very superficial understanding about AI. But when we talk about the AI all the time and we relate it to the human rights, we talk about bias and about human oversight necessity and so on. But you presented, it was for me, geographical hazards, yes? And it seems to me that it's very technical, and I'm wondering if human intervention and human oversight of the results is compulsory, if any bias exists in this technical context. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. The answering first question, we have a digital council under the first vice president of Azerbaijan Republic and Minister of Digitalization and Transport. There are responsible agents who coordinate all these areas, and we had a decree that all ministers and all agencies must have the one deputy who is responsible for AI and who promotes AI at the agents. For the second question, yes, our government supports our citizens to have access to this platform. You know, the Coursera platform is a paid platform, and it's the paid certification is also paid, and the government pays everything for the citizens. And that's why all our citizens want to have access to this platform. It's 3 months open for all our citizens, and they can use this platform freely. And that's why while we are announcing, we are getting many applications who want to have an access to this platform.
Okay, for me, thank you for the question. So, in short, I would like to explain that the principle of Magma is that AI supports experts, so it doesn't replace experts. So in terms of the working flows that we have done so far, is that AI, we use AI, for example, for data processing, to automate several tasks, but the analysis and also the decision, it's fully human. And so that it is not deciding, for example, like recommendations and etc. And AI also used not only for analysis, but we use this as a tool to expand the reach of these informations. And also that's why we developed chatbot. It is a personalized assistance, so that information that is asked by real human, really personalized. And we have evaluated, of course, we have evaluation systems on our system, and the result is quite satisfactory for us, and it isn't giving false informations, but yeah, sometimes there are some languages that are maybe not really related to not really related, but not really good in the context, but we are keep improving on this. But the accuracy of the information is 100%. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My apologies to everyone. There was an emergency, but everything is solved already. So we, as for the agenda, it's sharp, 3:40 sharp. So it's time for coffee break. So next session starts in 20 minutes sharp. One more thing, since we, the organizers of the workshop, are also going to create the report on the workshop, which is drafted already, we would like to ask all the speakers and all the country representatives also to share with us any valuable links to the documents, links to the websites that you think will be valuable for the audience to make the reference on these sources. And thank you very much. I think the second part was also very important for this session, so we don't just hear from the topic experts from the governance side or from the legal side or from the human rights perspective, but also the practical examples of what each country is doing. There are many countries also doing many things in AI, but every example is a kind of lesson for each of us, to reinvent the bicycle and to collaborate and to use this knowledge that you have created and we all are creating in our projects. Thank you so much for attendance. If you have a minute, please also check the QR and give the feedback. And see you in 20 minutes. Thank you.